welcome back to the podcast called Tell the World. I'm your host. I hope my sounds are good, guys. I hope the sounds are good. I'm using this small audio interface, so I hope that's not a problem to my viewers. But I'll see about that later on this week right here. How is everybody doing? I hope everybody's doing great. Welcome back to the show. We got another great topic. I hope you guys are ready for this topic. Um, Still feels kind of warm. I got this weather, but it's like 82 degrees out here. And when I came outside, because in the window I saw the wind blowing, so I'm assuming that it's the fall feel, but it still feels a bit like summer. I can still feel the humidity, so I got on a sweater. Shit. I'm in a cool spot, but you know, I'm actually in this studio real quick, so it's kind of cool in here, so I'm able to cool off. Anyway, guys, we got another subject today, and I'm not sure if a lot of people can relate to this subject, but I think some can because sometimes we find ourselves scrolling, right? Scrolling through our phones on social media. And this topic here will be social media versus your reality. Are we living to post or posting to live? I found myself posting and I felt like I was living in my post, right? Because I was bringing my real life into my virtual life with posting, right? You know how it is. We will show you what we're doing in our lives. This is how we do things. We show pictures of how we're living, what we're doing. Uh, I even show pictures with planting seeds and watching the seeds grow. And I demonstrate something that I might have built something, put something together, and I post online as demonstration, but not just demonstration, but also inspiration, right? So, what's the difference between all of that right there? Are we living to post or are we posting to live? Like, how does that work with us? Like, do you find yourself living more in your posting or have you slipped into posting and realized that, wait a minute, I'm living this life, but I'm actually living that life? Because we can all make it look good, right? We can all make life look good. We are great at making life look good. The way we dress, our fake smile. It's just things that we tend to hide that others don't see about us, right? And this is what the episode is about. Um, it's like it's deep into the illusion of perfection of ourselves, right? The social media has allowed us to create these virtual things about ourselves, how we can make things look good. And then you wonder why they keep updating the camera phone because they know most of these phones that are out, especially the iPhone, the Samsungs, it's picture time, it's video time, it's that time. Now, some would say, well, I'm using it to promote my business as I do to promote my business. But do we use social media? And do we use it too much? And where we become, where we're living in the social media posting, we scroll through highlights of reels and we see all these people doing these magnificent things and some people doing crazy things, some people doing extreme things. But rarely we see behind the scenes, right? The pain, the process, the patience that takes to truly grow the reality of us, right? Nobody knows the reality of us, right? Nobody knows what we go through, right? I just went through something today that I am trying to help somebody on. And that's being real. Now, do I share that side of me where I would share it with my audience? Well, yeah, I do. I share it in these subjects sometimes because I want to see everybody make it. I want to see everybody break through situations. I want to see some of us wake up. I said some. I didn't say a lot. I said some because sometimes it takes a little bit longer for those because you live in a world right now where you're going to get a lot of resistance against what you're trying to say. And saying means trying to change things, right? Trying to open someone's eye about situations. This is the flip side of things, y'all. This is not my real life. So things like that we're trying, for some of us motivational people are trying to do. Like, if you live the life of worries, you will be living that life of worries. And guess what? You will attract that stuff on your scrolling through your feeds, right? This is what the episode is going to be about. And it's real questions. Like this questions: are we chasing likes or are we chasing life? So sometimes you can be chasing more likes than chasing your own life. You know, some of us need validation sometimes about ourselves on how we're thinking. Do I need to be validated or do you need to be validated that you're wrong? Do you need to be validated that you're right? This is what social media can do. It'll start to have you comparing yourself, and then you shoot this text to somebody, you shoot this video to somebody, and they're like, wait a minute, who is this for? This ain't for me. I'm sorry. I had somebody tell me that. I said, hey, what do you think this means? Wait, they sent that to you? Yeah. I think they're trying to say that's you. Okay. You ever saw that or ever heard someone say that? Comparison really drains your creativity of yourself. Comparison yourself really take away your inspiration about you, takes away your gusto, takes away your own personal thinking, your own breakthrough, your own problems. You know, this is how life on social media can be a validation for those, for the culture. It impacts people's mental health and how to reclaim your peace in a world that rewards performances. Everything is not authentic, right? Because soon as we drop these camera phones, right, and we drop our mics, we're back into reality, right? I'm in a podcast world right now. Now, I will admit, I feel good here, right? But I also, in my own personal life, I'm the same way. You know, I'm very motivating. I'm firm. I'm structured about things, especially things that are going to turn into chaos. I resist against chaos, right? That's how I am. But what about we're turning to social media, right? And have we ever tuned in to just reset our own mindset, our own refocus, your energy, and remind yourself that you are real life and you're more valuable out here than online because we can get the likes, and the likes off of social media can go to your head. You feel like you're the king of the jungle getting all those thousands of likes. Wow. Until you find out as you dive deep into social media, some of those likes are mostly bots. It just needs you to assimilate with the liking, right? And I'm learning that for real too. Like some of these pages that have all these crazy numbers, and then you be like, well, if they got 1 million views, why they only got 500 likes? Something's not making sense. Is that real or is that virtual reality or BS? Trust me, guys. Trust me. I find myself thinking, are we more in tune into likes versus ourselves? Because this is where we get unplugged from our own self, the own valuable of yourself, the real life of yourself, those things that matter, right? You. And you can get unplugged because you're plugged into other things that just doesn't define you. It doesn't define you once you get off the camera. You got to go back and deal with cooking, right? Paying bills, right? They don't see that part, do they? Nobody sees that part, right? You cleaning up your room. A lot of things personally you don't want people to see. You just don't want people to see. Okay, let's go to one of my points here. A perfect post. Pressure why everyone's pretending. A perfect post on why everyone's pretending. You know, like I said, we put up a post, and, you know, like I say, some of us could be living that life we're living. In reality, in out of reality. But you don't want to pretend. You don't pretend like you got that life. You definitely don't. Because sometimes you see people get off online, and then all of a sudden you look at the year that they was on and the year that they were off, and they're not on there no more. Sometimes some people realize that social media can be draining to your mental. The comparisons of strolling, you won that life that that person has, and yeah, sometimes inspiration can wash off on us, but that's good, right? That should be good. But we should also be aware of not comparing ourselves to anybody that's a comparison against us, that you want to have their life, right? It's good to be looked up to, right? But be look up to someone who has value to uplift you, right? It's not always about the makeup. It's not always about the cars. It's not always about the jewelry. Those things right there. It can be so virtual. It'll have you fooled, and you think you're actually living that life. You remember when the Kim Kardashian came out? I heard somebody say, "I don't eat hamburgers. I eat like Kim Kardashian them." I, I'm gonna leave that one alone, y'all. So you just imagine how social media, you can imagine how television can brainwash you, right? And how to detox yourself, right? And you got to go back to the real you. The real you has been forgotten about because you're living in virtual world thinking, and you're bringing it to social media, right? But you can also bring it to your real life, right? Your real life. The social media can come to your real life and interrupt the real you. How to detox from digital distractions. You're probably saying, is that real detoxing? Yep, it is real. It is real, definitely real. The value of being present is not just being visible to others. Sometimes you don't need to be present. Sometimes you have to vanish. And for some of us, for some of those that do vanish, we vanish because we're working on ourselves. We're dealing with ourselves. Some people are dealing with the comparison to what not virtual but real life. Real life. I'll give a last one here. How creators can stay real while still building an audience. See, this is where we work so hard to get the numbers, and sometimes we overwork and it causes overthinking. It causes an impulse. It causes an addiction that you're gonna give up everything about you energy wise into social media because you need one or two likes, one or two followers, things like that. It don't matter. Trust me, it doesn't matter from those types of audience. If they like you and they see that you're real, they're gonna follow you, right? They're gonna follow you. But what about finding peace and unplugging, right? Because I can unplug myself from my phone, right? I can do that. And I can find myself doing other creative things outside of social media, right? Sometimes you got to be private about yourself outside of social media, right? If the world never sees it, does it still matter? Yes, it matters to you. You can still find peace unplugging because you're finding time back into your life, back into the real you, back into the real life of you dealing with things because you can get behind life with social media, right? It can get addicting, it can get very addicting, very addicting. I'll conclude this with don't measure your life with likes. Don't measure it in moments that make you feel like you're alive. We don't need that. And I learned too that I don't need that. Sometimes you just got to find it another way. And sometimes everybody liking you can be overwhelming. Sometimes you can find yourself indulging into liking everything out there, right? Because you're losing that part of you, the part of you that exists, because we all have a personal journey. Sometimes we can relate to each other because sometimes we can find ourselves imprinting our lives into that person's life. They're living it. Or are they really living it? are they really living it? That concludes Tell the World podcast. Like, share, and subscribe. Um, Also, hit the store up, www.telltheworldpodcast, Etsy, and check out some merch. Hey, we got good merch out there. It's real good. We came up with some great designs. Um, yeah, let's go back because now I got to go back and go live my own reality, y'all. You heard it first.